All right. We are live. Live from the gutter.
Oh yeah, we got the I got the notification. It's still showing the screen. You fixed the screen?
Full screen. Yeah, I probably should just copped out of that, but raise some volume. All right. I believe we're live.
You see, I'm looking at the live stream. The live stream. It still shows the back end.
All right, hold on.
Hopefully that's updated. Hopefully, yeah. We gotta get the opening theme song, going, so it doesn't turn into this.
Right? Oh, what the heck's going on here?
Jeez, bro, what is this? Yeah, dude, still the wrong screen.
Oh, I don't know why it's not.
You gotta click sources again, yeah. So just grab move right now, Mike.
I fumbled the bag right now.
Yeah, you blew it, huh? Bro, you're doing the same thing over and over again. You gotta start a new source.
Hold on.
Click the pause button, no?
Hold on. I think that's good.
I can't tell. Okay. Okay, now we're good. There you go.
All right, we're live. There we go. Please excuse the technical difficulties, but for the people who stay with us, thank you. Welcome back to Have More Than Money. Jared, a pleasure as always. Today we are discussing pitfalls of dropshipping. Jared, anything you want to add before we jump into it?
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, yeah, again, guys, sorry about the technical difficulties. Luckily, it doesn't seem like that many people have joined yet, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, I mean, today we are going to cover a very important topic, which is why most dropshippers fail. 99% of people that start a business, or better yet, 99% of businesses fail. And at the end of the day, it should be discussed why most people fail in dropshipping.
Yeah, I think that's such a... So I want to get my notebook out in case I like to write my notes. So many people try dropshipping, and I'm sure as everyone knows, there's so many different ways to go about it. Obviously we kind of have a favorite, but just in general, not even from like an operational standpoint, obviously we think high ticket e-com is the way to go. But there's also other pitfalls that people fall into just like mentally. And, that's why I'm kind of excited. Jared, I know you understand. I'm a little bit more of a mindset kind of guy. And so, I'm definitely excited to kind of just talk about how you need to prepare yourself physically and mentally for doing e-commerce.
Yeah, I mean, the mindset was questioned by a lot of people. And I think one of the things that made the mindset stop being questioned, at least in our circle, was that we noticed that, there were two types of people that were doing drop shipping. There was people that were really emphasizing the mindset along with learning the skill sets. And there were people that were kind of just putting all their focus into the skill set. And while in the end of the day, you can be successful only learning the skill set, what we found from our research, or better yet, just from watching as life progressed, was that the people that really emphasized understanding the mind, learning the mind, better yet, learning the science to getting rich, were the people that were becoming the most successful.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's also another reason that I love the community that we created, is that so many people fall down the same exact they do the same exact mistakes over and over again because the processes are all so similar. And so Jared, you said from our research, as if we've actually done research. I would say more so just from our actions. We've done so many different types of online business that we're kind of just going to share exactly what went wrong in different areas.
So if you want to, yeah, that's when I said research, I meant just living in general. We've been around a lot of students, not even just our students, but students of other programs, and we've been around a lot of people that drop ship. I have at this point a lot of friends and family that drop ship, and friends of friends that drop ship. And again, what I've seen time and time again is the people. Honestly, not to gas myself up, but the people that were closer to me are the people that have been studying the mindset, because I preach the mindset more than anyone. And ultimately, those are the people that I've seen become the most successful, the top of the top, the highest tier of students. And maybe we should get into some mindset things that we're talking about,
Yeah, and so just to kind of piggyback of what Jared, what you just said, Jared. I've told the story before, but before Jared first agreed to partner with me on our first business, he insisted he didn't give me the option. He insisted that if he was gonna give me money to start a business, that the number one and most important thing that I needed to do was get my mindset straight. And so a book that I recommend to a lot of people, and is a book that he made me read numerous times, and now we both kind of stand by the book, is The Science of Getting Rich. And the title throws a lot of people off. I think when you throw around the word rich in general, there are so many negative connotations that people think. But I think from the core of it, it's more so about your relationship mentally with money. Jared, you can probably expand on that better.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would say that's not really talked about is, your state of mind. It's funny to say this because it doesn't sound like it's true, but it really is. There'll be days where I really won't feel wealthy and I won't feel rich. And a lot of the times the sales will reflect it. And then the opposite, where I feel rich, or better yet, on top of the world, will have the best day in sales ever. A lot of times I'll meditate before bed, meditate in the morning. And a lot of the times the exact, the power of visualization that I put into before, let's just say, a big day, ultimately impacts how the day goes. What do I mean by that is, let's just say I have a long session of meditation and visualization the night before, because I don't always do it. Sometimes I get lazy. But if I do, there's honestly almost a great chance every single time that day will be a good day in sales. When you're running ads, there's no better time than to start using the power of visualization. So start visualizing the sales, visualizing the visits, visualizing the ka-chings, feeling the ka-chings. One thing I've done in the past, I don't know if it was you that gave me the idea, Mike, was to visualize, or better yet, meditate with the Shopify ka-ching on. I know you can look up, Shopify ka-ching noise on YouTube and just play it on loop. And I've done that before. And honestly, I've made a lot of sales while doing it, or, a few hours later. It really does have a power that is unexplainable.
Yeah, and so obviously, maybe not everyone is familiar with this, but what we're talking about here, we haven't said the actual phrase, is the law of attraction. And, there's so many people have so many different opinions on the law of attraction. We're pretty firm believers, but, the biggest misconception, the biggest, honestly, the biggest negative thing that people have to say about it is, you can't just visualize something and the next day it'll appear. And that is 1,000% true, because, that's not what we mean by the law of attraction. If you take out the end of the word of the law of attraction, you get action, because action really is the driving force to making visualization work. And so when you have, this type of strong mental, I don't even know what the word to use, mental power, and you combine it with the vehicle. So obviously the vehicle is the most important part. You need the strong vehicle to combine with that power mindset. And, from our experience, we're not just saying this from a theoretical standpoint. We practice this stuff. When I was first starting off, I would visualize sales. That's also the importance of setting goals, because when you have that number in your head, whether you know it or not, that's a form of law of attraction. When you're holding a number you want to hit in sales, that visualization, that holding that number in your head is very powerful.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, it's it's the same thing as driving a car, right? You can't get anywhere unless you have a destination. It's to say you want to make sales, it kind of doesn't really hold any power. But to say you want to make $10,000 a month, or you want to do $100,000 a month in sales, now it's like you actually have a legitimate destination. You're actually striving towards something. You're actually going to be pulled naturally to make it happen. When people tell you, like, think about it, who's more likely to be successful, right? Someone who's like, yeah, I want to get rich, or someone who's like, yeah, I want to start an online business. I'm going to do drop shipping. I'm going to sell product. Like someone who has the whole plan mapped out in their head, a goal mapped out in their head. I think it was Jim Rohn who was like, if you don't have a list of goals written down in your pocket, which obviously at this point would be on your phone, then I can probably guess your bank account within a few $1,000s. And it's usually a very low number, because the truth is, if you don't have your goals written down, then you probably haven't really achieved much in life, because how can you achieve anything if you don't have a destination? One thing, Mike, that you talked about was vehicle. So, while we're on the subject, we might as well obviously talk about the most obvious reason why most dropshippers fail. And that is because they just follow the wrong strategy. And, I'm glad that you mentioned this, because it reminded me of a story. Something that happened to me actually just last week so I actually had a friend from high school, right? And 3 years ago, when I was just starting dropshipping, he was actually successful and I wasn't, right? But he was successful in the wrong vehicle. And obviously that vehicle is low ticket, which we've talked about time and time again on this channel. But the funny story is that I ordered sushi for delivery, right? And I go, obviously the delivery guy shows up. Sure enough, it was that kid from my high school who 3 years ago, I know he profited over $10,000 in a single month, because he wrote a book on how he profited $10,000 in a month dropshipping. So, and he knew I was dropshipping too. So obviously when I went to go pick up the food and I saw him as the delivery guy, me and him caught up. And long story short, how do I know that he was doing the wrong business? Because low ticket, it's really a business where you succeed once and then you crash and burn after. And I said this to his face, not to be disrespectful, but I was like, honestly, man, like I finally found success like 2 or 3 years ago. And, it's honestly just gotten bigger and better ever since. And no disrespect, but like you were successful 2 or 3 years ago and now you're delivering sushi. So it just goes to show that, as much as the mindset is very important, unfortunately, the first reason as to why most dropshippers fail is because they're simply just doing it wrong. Mike and I had, I think, at least 3 or 4 of our students did like a combined 10K in sales today. And some of those sales were like $3,000 or $4,000. So,
yeah, I mean, so first, I can attest to that story, because we were on the phone when he went to get the sushi. And I thought that was the funniest story ever, because, maybe we shit on that business model a lot. We've done it before and it didn't work for us. And, that kid is just another living example of why, at the end of the day, what we're talking about here is sustainability. Because, a business can profit you 10K in a month, but if 4 months down the road that business's profit is zero, then you made some quick cash. But that's just not what that's not what high ticket drop shipping is. When you're creating these real relationships, manufacturers don't just shut down for any reason. So if these relationships are prosperous and they're making sales for 1 month, there's a pretty dang good chance that in the coming months they're going to continue on that same pace. Now, on the same token, we're talking about sustainability. this kid, I didn't have the conversation. Jared did. We know the business model that he did, so it's pretty safe to say he probably had a AliExpress product.
He did.
He probably made a good ad copy and probably a good video, and he probably ran the Facebook ads and was able to scale it for that month, maybe 2 months. And then what happened? The product dies out. And this is something that, me and Jared, we network with people. We talk to anyone in the industry just to, we're always trying to learn. And we've heard that story of viral products fizzling out just way too many times to count. And that's why we're including that in this segment as a pitfall, because, it's always nice to make quick cash. But at the end of the day, as a business person, the goal should be to build a sustainable business that's going to not only bring you money for a long period of time, but this business that you're building should be a valuable asset that you can now sell off at some point in time. I've never sold a high ticket store just yet. I do see our mentors are in the chat here. They've sold stores for $200,000, $300,000, and that kind of return on an asset that you're building, you're not going to get with a viral product.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a shame, because it's like 99% of people that are drop shipping are really just doing it the absolute wrong way. And it's like, I give kudos to anyone that says, I'm not going to work a 9 to 5. I'm going to, take a chance on myself, build a business, and, live that lifestyle, that dream lifestyle of being, an entrepreneur, making money when I'm not working. But it's such a shame that 90% of the people are really falling into the trap of doing it the wrong way. It goes deeper than, a big reason why most dropshippers or people fail is because they think just by deciding they're not going to work a job anymore, they're going to succeed. But you actually have to have a business that's built off a good foundation. If the foundation of the business is slow shipping time, ads that don't really make sense, or products that nobody really needs, then it doesn't matter what you decide. Your chances of success are very slim. It's like if you told your parents or you told someone you were going to become a famous, athlete or rapper, they would tell you, good luck. And that's the same way with low ticket dropshipping. That's exactly how we feel, like good luck, because the business has such a bad foundation. There's no, it's something that can be swept, right off you from your feet right away. So, ultimately, again, there's a lot of mindset techniques, and we're going to get to a lot of those throughout the video. But the number one reason why most dropshippers fail is just because they're just dropshipping the wrong way. They're not selling the right products. They're not running ads the right way. They're sourcing from China. They're doing low ticket, big margin. Some of the things that I would say, how can you tell if a business has a good foundation, right? One, is there a barrier of entry, right? Can anyone do it? With our business, you have to actually close the suppliers. You can't just sell the products. Two, what are the margins like? If you don't have good margins, and that doesn't give you a lot of room to run ads, which it doesn't give you a lot of chance to be profitable. At the end of the day, you need to be profitable. Me and Mike have ran stores that did $5,000, $10,000 in sales and weren't profitable. I think our best month ever, we lost $800 in low ticket, which was crazy. So those are two things, right? Is the supplier relationship real, or how are the profit margins? Third is, what is the marketing strategy? Is it a strategy that actually makes sense, that's likely to bring in revenue, or is it a strategy that's just going to bring in visitors that aren't going to actually put their credit card in and buy?
Yeah, no, and you pretty much just hit every point that a real business needs. And you nailed it on the head, from not only the product that you're selling, but also the end goal, the marketing, the profit. All that stuff matters. And not to say, when you test a low ticket product, you're testing the product, and if it fails, that money is gone. Whereas when you're testing a high ticket supplier, it's so much different, because you can spend $300 on a supplier and then make one sale and profit $500. And that sort of testing is also, even from a risk reward standpoint, I think that the risk for high ticket is so much less, because the margins of one sale can really put you through the roof. So maybe it's not about your first month high ticket dropshipping. It doesn't necessarily need to be about profiting thousands of dollars. It's more so, getting those suppliers in there. It's very easy to maintain at least a break even. And then, maybe if one out of your first 3 suppliers are profitable, now you have the system down. And so, that's kind of our goal is, people who are guys who are teaching other people, it's learn the system. And, I guess that's a little bit later. We'll talk about more mindset stuff, but, we have a system that's proven to work, time again. Between the two of us, we have 6 stores that profit very, very nicely. And so if you can take the system, apply it with your own technique, your own massive action, combine the law of attraction, like, at that point, it's really just a waiting game in terms of, all right, it's not a matter of if my business will succeed, it's a matter of when. And, that type of vehicle, we talked about the vehicle before, that's exactly what we're providing.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is the mindset is needed in order to see the system through. So, another reason why most dropshippers fail is because, even, all right, so let's just say you finally figured it out. You're not going to do low ticket. Now you're doing high ticket. You joined the right side, right? There's still a huge learning curve in high ticket. It's not a game that just guarantees success. Yes, it is a much better business. Yes, the foundations are strong. They're solid. Yes, if you can find success in this game, then, you can make money for potentially the rest of your life. But there's a huge learning curve. The first thing is learning, the ins and outs of building a site that actually converts. The second thing is finding suppliers that have products that people actually want to buy, right? So those 2 things aren't easy to do as it is. Then the third thing is running ads that are completely optimized, which is honestly the hardest factor, because it's like combining it with, making sure you have a good site, making sure you have a good product, and making sure the right people are seeing it. It might take you hundreds or even thousands of dollars in ad spend to get it down perfectly. The good news is that when you spend a few $1,000s in ads with our strategies, you're going to make money, you're going to make sales. The bad news is it doesn't guarantee you're going to be profitable. Not especially not right away, and especially not without a mentor, which we'll get into that later. But if you're running the strategies the way we teach, then what you have to understand is you have to be patient, because you're going to test a lot of things that aren't going to work. And if you don't have the right mindset, if you don't understand the science behind success, then you might spend $400 or $500 in ads, lose a few $100s the first month, and you might want to give up. If you understand, success, if you actually trust your mentors, then, you're actually going to put in the work. You're not going to struggle when, things go south. You're not going to quit. So,
yeah, no, that's perfectly said. And I think that also kind of ties into another reason why so many fail, not only in drop shipping, but in businesses in general, is expectations. You need to be able to manage expectations for, where you are and where you want to be. Because, if you're in it just to get rich for a month, you have the wrong mindset. You're broke. Your mindset is broke. You need to understand that you're building, like we spoke about before, you're building an asset here. And if it was that easy, then, everyone would do it. But the simple fact of the matter is, when you have the correct expectations in mind, and, you're not losing a lot of money, which, we haven't seen, knock on wood, anyone go broke testing suppliers, again, ties into everything we spoke about. But when your expectations are on, and you have the long term in mind, is that so many people are short-sighted, and they only see what they want they underestimate what's the quote? You overestimate what you can accomplish in 2 months, or underestimate what you can accomplish in a year. Imagine you keep applying this.
I think the actual quote, Mike, is you overestimate what you can accomplish in a year and underestimate what you can accomplish in 5 to 10 years. That's the actual quote.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, it's longer time frame, but it's exactly what I'm talking about here. Like, it took me, I think, 9 months to get my store to crack 10K profit a month. And, it varies for different people. It depends on the action that you take. But I think expectations are just a huge part of people's success and failures.
Well, I know the first few months, of running ads for your store, we weren't that profitable. I know the first few months of running ads to my store, we weren't profitable. I know that for a fact. So a lot of people that join our program, they need to understand that if you're profitable in your first few months of running ads, you're honestly doing better than we are, and than we were, I should say. it took us a few months, but once we figured it out, because think about it like this, guys, you're going to spend money on things that aren't going to lead to sales. It's going to be keywords that, you'll see when you do it that are just, you shouldn't be coming up for those keywords. And what's going to happen is it's going to cause your conversion rate to be lower than it should. Your conversion rate is going to skyrocket 6 months after you start running ads, because the ads are going to be so much more targeted. Not only that, your profit is going to skyrocket because, think about it like logically, right? You're going to spend money on a lot of suppliers that aren't going to bring you sales. And over time, you're not going to know that though, right? There's no way to know that until you actually spend the money. So over time, you're going to cut those suppliers. And not only that, you're going to see the suppliers that are making you sales, and you're going to spend more money on those ones. So what's going to happen is you're going to go from maybe breaking even or losing money to being profitable, and your conversion rate might go from 0.2%, 0.3% to 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, even 1% if you're really lucky. Which I know in low ticket they say you want to have 3 to 5% conversion rate, but in high ticket anything over 0.5%, you're typically in good shape.
Yeah, that's kind of just another reason why I love testing. We're talking about catalogs here, and so when so many different suppliers are running, Jared, like you mentioned, when one starts to take off and maybe the others aren't doing so well, you're continuously optimizing everything. So when you're cutting out the suppliers that are no good and you're keeping the ones that are making you money, and then not only that, but you're adding on new suppliers. It's honestly just like a snowball effect where eventually you'll reach that point where your store is rock solid with great suppliers, daily conversions, and honestly there's no better feeling than reaching that point.
You bring up a good point, or better yet, you made me think of something. Guys, the thing is with business or a lot of things in life, to be successful requires balance, right? You never want to go so far. Think about life as a seesaw, right? You kind of always want to be in the middle. You never want to go very far on one side or very far on the other. So what do I mean by that? Is when we say to launch your store with 3 to 5 suppliers and then to slowly close 2 to 4 new suppliers a month, we really mean it. And there's a reason behind it, right? And I'll give you guys an example. I currently have a store that I co-own with, some of my friends and actually some of our clients. They were my friends before they became students. They saw the success of me and Mike and they wanted to learn. And that specific store is a relatively new store. It's only 3 or 4 months old. And right now, right, that store, I've never seen a store do this before. That store has 22 suppliers of ads are running to 22 suppliers, and it's a brand new store. So what do you think is happening? Well, put it this way, right? You want to give each and every supplier a fair shot. So out of the 22, I think only 13 of them have made sales, but the other 9, we still want to give a fair shot to. So we're spending so much money. This store is only 4 months old, and we're spending $600 a day, and we're nowhere near profitable, right? Now, an unexperienced dropshipper would panic and would pull the plug, but someone who understands the game, what do I see? I see that 13 suppliers are profitable, but as a business, we aren't because we've spent money on 9 that aren't, right? So in the long run, what's going to happen is we're going to eventually cut out those 9 suppliers. Now, for all I know, those 9 suppliers, since it's high ticket, those 9 suppliers can all make one sale tomorrow and be profitable. And that's why you need to keep testing. And that's why I haven't pulled the plug yet, right? But this is why we preach balance. This is why we teach you to do the way you do. Because if you're going to get data, right, then you need to launch just 3 to 5 suppliers, because anything more, you're going to have to spend so much money in total, and you're going to go down money. Regardless, you might go down money, but the reason why we preach the way we preach, or we do it the way we do it, is because it's to save you money. Like I said, if you want to go ahead and launch 20 suppliers at once, like one of my stores did, then you got to be ready to spend $600-700 a day out of the gate on not optimized traffic to lose money and have a low conversion rate. So again, being someone who's experienced, someone who understands the game, I'm not worried, because I know we're going to eventually cut all the trash and scale, everything that's profitable. But if you weren't experienced and you didn't understand balance and you didn't have a mentor, then you probably would have pulled the plug a long time ago.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's why I probably wouldn't recommend launching 22 suppliers in ads, because in terms of getting data. It does make it a little bit trickier, but even on a larger scale. So Jed, you just mentioned balance, and you know, so many times you'll see all these gurus, and they'll be like, you know, if if you don't have a business that makes you $10,000 a month, like you need to spend every waking hour, every second of every weekend, weekday, night, morning working on your business. And while I agree with that to a certain degree, it's burnout is a very real thing. And so I know from my personal experience, you know, I was fresh out of college. Maybe I was just about to graduate when I first launched my high ticket store. And, you know, I definitely think that I worked myself to a point of burnout. And, you know, I sent a message in our community chat about a month ago. And, you know, I pretty much just wanted to point out to people, it was a Friday evening. I was like, hey guys, like, you know, I hope everyone's working on your business this weekend. You know, you shouldn't, I don't think, you know, your business is like your baby in a way. Like, you need to show it attention and love every single day. But at the same time, you know, you need to focus and be like, all right, you know, you're still a person. You need to still go out and do things. So, you know, like most things, I think work-life balance is so huge because you got to find the line of, hey, I need to get grinding on my business and I need to, you know, relax and maybe go out and do something. Now, on the same token, I know people who work on their business an hour and a half a week and then are drinking and partying for the remainder of the nights of the week. And, you know, I don't need to explain why that's not going to work. You know, everyone kind of has their own point where they're like, all right, enough's enough. And I think everyone needs to find that for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the thing is about business, right, is it's very different than a job in the sense where, like, you can't just work 8 hours a day on one task and think you're going to get anywhere, right? With business, there's layers. And what you have to do is you have to work on a task and then you have to fall back and then redirect into a new task, right? Like, let's just say hypothetically, you're in the site building stage. I'm sure you can go on for days and weeks and months looking for ways to perfect your site, but that's not going to lead to sales. You know, you gotta find products and then you gotta run ads. So then you finally get the site. Like I said, you can't, in business, you can't be a perfectionist, right? Being a perfectionist is, what it does is it slows progress down. You need to be someone, I don't like to say good enough, but you need to make it good to the point where it could actually make sales. You know, if you have Mike and I as your mentors, and we can confirm if it's good enough. And then you got to take the next step. You got to go from, all right, now the site's designed. Now the next step is to close suppliers. Now, again, if you're someone that still has the employee mentality, then you're going to keep closing suppliers for the rest of your life. But someone that understands business, you need to just close a few suppliers, and then you need to fall back and redirect into listing the suppliers on the site. Then once you list them, you need to again fall back and redirect to launching the suppliers. So again, guys, it's very different than being an employee, because an employee, it's like, you know, your boss gives you one task and says, go work that from 9 to 5, 5 days a week. Whereas a business owner, you need to be in charge. You need to tell yourself, okay, I did enough of this. Now it's time to do that, and vice versa.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, you know, just to kind of piggyback off that, Jared, is something that I see so many people, you know, we're talking about pitfalls here is, you know, work smart, not hard, because so many times people will start off, and I think it's a little combination of them making like excuses for not continuing and continue to push. But I'll see people spend days at a time working on their logo. You know, I've seen people spend 2 weeks thinking of a name for their store. You know, why are you wasting all of this energy and time on things that don't matter when there are so much more important tasks that if you put all that energy into these important tasks are really what's going to grow your business. You know, things like supplier research and finding winning suppliers matters a million times more than your website's logo. You know, while you don't want an ugly logo, you don't need to spend all that time and energy on that. You know, be smart about where you're putting your energy. And that goes, you know, even beyond business. You know, that's a whole nother conversation. Like, you know, everyone probably has friends who are dramatic in their theatrics, and, you know, it's sometimes easy to get pulled into, you know, drama, politics, things like that. But, you know, my thing is those aren't going to affect you. You know, take the energy that you would put in politics or, you know, drama, and put it into stuff that really matters, like growing your business. And that's something that I think a lot of people need to hear.
Yeah, I mean, a great quote. I think it was in the 4 Hour Work Week where he said, being good at things that don't matter doesn't make them matter. A lot of people mistake something that they're good for something that's important. And it doesn't, like, that's not the truth, right? Like, let's just say you're a great FIFA player, right? Or a great player at Madden. Unless you're good enough to the point where you can actually get paid, which is obviously extremely difficult and requires way too much time to ever be worth it, it won't matter, So it's like, to focus your energy on things that don't matter. Like someone like, myself and Mike, it's like we focus a lot of our energy into business. Think about the result. It can lead to us making money. We put a lot of energy into jiu-jitsu. The results is we can defend ourselves if we ever need to. We put energy into exercise, and the results are staying healthy. So it's, not to say that I don't have hobbies too that don't always lead to, money or some, ulterior motive. I have hobbies of things that I do just because I just enjoy them. And that's, in the end of the day, that matters. Like if it's something that you genuinely enjoy, then it matters to you. But don't get mistaken for something that matters to you to something that actually matters in the long run of life. So, you need to have that balance of hobby and, being good at things that actually matter. Now, obviously, one thing I would recommend, one thing I've done is I made a hobby out of things that matter. The things that I love to do involve things that'll ultimately lead to me being better. You need to always tell yourself, is this going to lead to a positive experience, or is this going to lead to a positive outcome? Think about the compound effect, right? The compound effect it's all about doing a little bit each day, which will lead to a big result, right? Now that works both ways. If you have a negative habit, like let's just say smoking or eating unhealthy, and you do that every single day for weeks, months, and years, it's going to lead to a negative compound effect. And it's the same thing with if you have a positive habit of, exercise or, building your business, well, guess what's going to happen in 6 to 12 months? You're going to look great, and you might even be making some money.
Yeah, I love that you brought up the compound effect, because it's not only a great book, but it's just a great concept in general. And this is something that I've talked about before is, when it comes to bad habits, it's so tough to break bad habits because bad habits have short-term ROI. Watching that Netflix series, it feels good in the moment. Eating that junk food, it feels good in the moment. But things like reading a book, building a business, maybe in the moment aren't exactly what you want to be, or what you want to do, I should say. But when you continue to compound reading with building a business, with working out, the long-term effects are exponential. And that kind of comes back to thinking long-term, just to reiterate, those bad habits, it's the short-term ROI seems worth it in the moment. But, when you have that long-term thinking in your head, it makes it easier to do the things that really, really do matter.
Yeah. And, it really goes back down to, being successful in life. It really does. And this is why we teach the mindset. This is why, if you join Mike and I's program, we created a mindset course for, our students, because the mindset is the foundation. If you understand the mindset, it doesn't really matter how you use it, because in the end of the day, you'll probably be the top of, if you want to be in the end of the day, right? When it comes to making money, right? Money is simply a byproduct of excellence. A lot of people get it confused, but making money is just a byproduct of excellence. So what do I mean by that? Is competition is in any field you choose, right? There's nothing you can do where you're going to be the absolutely only person doing it, right? So how do you make competition not matter? By being one of the best at whatever it is you choose to do. Think about it. If you choose to be a dropshipper, then you just need to be the best. You don't need to be the best, but you need to be one of the best. You need to be in the top 1-2% of dropshippers. You choose to be a carpenter, it's the same thing. If you choose to be an athlete, it's the same thing, right? So money is simply a byproduct of excellence. And the only way to be excellent is to understand the mindset. Now, not everyone has a great understanding of the mindset, but is still successful. So why is that? It's because those people naturally are able to put their head down and get to work. They don't look around. They don't slack. I know there's a lot of people that I know that I'm close with that have been very successful in life that may have never read the books that Mike and I recommend. And those people are honestly just rare breeds. Those people, we all know those people that were just born to be successful. Now, the good news is you don't need to be like that to be successful. Mike and I were not guys that were born to be successful. Like, the kid that I ran into from the beginning of the stream that I was talking about, he straight up said to my face, knowing you in high school, I would have never predicted you would become what you've become. And to me, that was like a backhanded compliment. But it just goes to show that anyone that knew me from my past did not expect me to become the successful one, quote. Like, and why did I become successful and they didn't? Honestly, there's two things. One, I had people in my life that were succeeding and I listened to them as opposed to listening to everyone else, right? Don't listen to everyone else. It's your input becomes your output, right? So what happened was I stopped listening to people that didn't have results that I wanted to emulate because I knew that my input would become my output. So that's the first thing. The second thing was I studied the mind. I started reading. At this point, I've probably read 70, maybe 80 books in relation to the mindset, business, success, everything in that realm. And now I've become, a master at it. And not only can I speak about it, but I practice it every single day. And it's led to the results in my life.
Mm-hmm. No, it's beautifully said. And just to kind of circle back to your success is a byproduct of excellence. I'll see your motivational quote and I'll raise you one more. I think this is Jim Rohn. He says, I'm going to paraphrase it a little bit as usual. But he said that you can't chase success because if you do, it'll elude you. Just like you chase a car, it's going to get away. It's so much easier. Success is not something that you. Success is something that you attract by the person that you become. Again, paraphrase, but instead of going out and try to finding it, let it find you. And how do you find it? Exactly that. You become a better person. Like Jared, like you just said. Reading 70, 80 books is not something that someone our age. We're 22, 23 years old. That's not something that most people do. But you putting that kind of information in your head, I think it's pretty obvious to say that the correlation is there. The action that you took and the person that you became is the exact reason why you've achieved the success that you have to this point.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when I first read The Science Getting Rich and The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, right, I knew that those books, it didn't happen the first time that I read it. It actually happened like the second or third time. But it finally clicked that this was it. This was the holy grail. This is the stuff they're not teaching in schools that they need to be. Everyone always knows that school's not teaching the important information, right? So if you want to learn the important information that isn't being taught in schools, read those two books, honestly. The Science Getting Rich and The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. And once I read those, it was kind of like between that and between my mentors, the people that build assets online that, were my cousins that were teaching me, drop shipping. Between having that, it was like, all right, I'm going to put everything I can into what they're telling me and to what these books are telling me. And anything else, anything that's conflicting with that, I am not going to listen to. If you're one of Mike and I's students, understand that we're doing it, right? We've done it and we're doing it, right? So it's like, you don't need to listen to anybody else, right? You don't need, if you go around watching YouTube videos of all these other dropshippers that are doing different strategies, it's just going to distract and confuse you. If you listen to your parents who might tell you to get a job, it's going to distract and confuse you. So your input is very important. I don't watch the news because, I have people close to me that watch the news every day. And what happens is they have a very negative view of the world, right? I have people close to me that have jobs that they hate. And again, they have a very negative view of adulthood. So it's like, be very careful with your input because ultimately that will become your output.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, what you just said, you kind of just explained your story, about, learning from your mentors, taking the things that you learned. It's exactly what I was trying to say in the beginning of the stream is, when you combine that mental strength and, everything that you can really learn about the mind with the vehicle, the possibilities are really just endless. So yeah, Jared, you want to move on to our next, what was the next pitfall that we were going to talk about?
So, I mean, we were really just talking about the main reasons why dropshippers fail, right? And in the end of the day, the two main things to get are that most are doing it the wrong way. And then the ones that are doing it the right way just don't have the mindset necessary to succeed. the people that are successful in life, right? So here's the thing. Why do 99% of businesses fail? Well, here's the real reason that they don't tell you is that 99% of business owners fail 2, 3, 4 times before they succeed. So that is why 99% of businesses fail, is because the successful people fail before they succeed, and they keep trying, and usually they'll fail more times than they'll succeed. I can honestly say that majority of businesses that I've started that aren't in high ticket dropshipping have failed. I think every business I started that wasn't a high ticket dropshipping business failed. But that doesn't mean I'm a failure, because in the end of the day, the beautiful part about business is all you need is one success, right? Majority of suppliers that you'll launch ads for will fail. And the people that don't have the right mindset, that's going to happen, and they're going to quit. The people that don't have a lot of money are going to quit because they're going to get scared if they spend a little bit of money in ads and aren't profitable. So ultimately, it all circles back to the mindset.
Yeah, and I think that a common misconception that so many people have is that they think that the path to success has, failure speed bumps along the way, when in reality, the path to success is majority failures full of the successful speed bumps. Or probably not the best word to use, but it's usually majority failures, and it doesn't matter how many times how many L's you take, how many times you fail. It really just comes down to being successful that one time. And that's why I'm not afraid to admit that I lost $10,000 in a business before. $10,000 just given away to Facebook, given away to a mentorship program, whatever it was. I'm honestly proud of it because of how much that I took away and how much that I learned from that. And something else I do want to, I don't know if you want to.
No,
something that I do want to also piggyback that I forgot, Jared, before was so many people try to. So high ticket dropshipping is a business model. So many people will go out and maybe watch some of our videos, maybe learn from other people who have different techniques. And I've seen firsthand that when you try to learn from 10 different people and you pull information from different places, it usually just winds up imploding. And so I think that's also something that's very, very important, is that you need to find a system that you trust, find people that you trust, and apply just that system. Don't try to, you can learn from other people. I'm not saying you really should never stop learning, but in terms of actual system, don't be trying to mix and match systems, because it's probably not going to work.
Yeah, and that circles to another reason why people fail, is because they don't have mentors. And this isn't to say that me and Mike are the only mentors in the world, because obviously we're not. But if you don't have a mentor, you're just gonna have so many questions. When you're left with when you just take a course, courses can never cover everything necessary, right? And then especially when you start running ads, there's really so many things that you won't possibly be able to know, whether it's testing, scaling, or anything along those lines. Better yet, building a site, you have no one to tell you that you're doing it right or wrong. So again, it really comes down to having a mentor, but having the right mentor. There's a lot of people out there pushing nonsense, pushing fake stuff on the internet that are just here to take your money and run away. So I mean, honestly, guys, it comes down to having a good plan, having the right strategy, having the right mindset, and having the right mentor. And all of those factors together will allow you to connect the dots, because connecting the dots is very difficult. To be successful in business, it goes down to having a great site, running great ads, and having great products, which again, that's a lot of dots to connect. A lot can get lost in translation if you don't have the right mentors.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that about so many people just kind of pushing garbage, is because I was actually speaking to one of my friends a couple days ago, and we were just chopping it up, talking about, our mentorship, our community, everything like that. And he was telling me, and I know firsthand, just how many times that, you'll get hit with, YouTube ads, Instagram ads, things on Twitter of just people, shoving, not just like shoving sales screenshots, shoving the same stuff in your face. And for that reason, it becomes so tricky to really kind of tell, who's real and who's not. And, I think that's another reason why I love these live streams. I love people, asking questions in the chat, which reminds me, if you do have questions, drop them in the chat, is because I hope people can kind of tell, like there has to be a way to tell people who are being transparent from those who aren't. And I get really frustrated when I hear stories of people getting scammed. I heard a couple of weeks ago someone paid $1,000 for a mentorship and instantly got blocked and the whole website was taken down. That kind of stuff, it really pollutes the area, because I know there are so many genuine people out there trying to push good programs, because at the end of the day, mentors are so important to not only build a successful business, but to build it in an expedited fashion. When you have people who fell down the biggest pitfalls time and time again, it's a long journey. So there's going to be a whole different variety of speed bumps. When you are able to have access to people who hit those speed bumps, it's much easier to, take a different route and avoid them.
Yeah. And, it really couldn't be more true. Everything you just said. So, when you combine all of these things, it really comes down, that's the thing, right? School teaches you to believe that there's one right answer, there's one reason, there's one this, one that. But when it comes down to business, there's so many factors, so many reasons why people fail, so many answers, right? Like almost every question in business is an open-ended question. It's not multiple choice. So, ultimately, the real reason why most dropshippers fail, I think we covered most of it. Again, if there's any questions in the chat box, please feel free to leave one. But I don't know if I'm trying to think if there's any other reasons why most dropshippers would fail, other than honestly just not having the right plan, not having the right mentor, not having the right mindset. And yeah, honestly, one more reason we didn't even talk about is just not taking action. How many people buy a course and get hit with information overload and just keep rewatching the course because they're afraid they're missing little things and just never take action? We know so many people that have done that. Or as you said, Mike, they'll work 1 hour a week and then party the other 50 hours a week. So it comes down to, all of the things, as we just made a sale, it comes down to all of those things mixed with actually taking action.
Yeah, no, it's so true. I did want to add something, but that sale kind of just got in my head there. Yeah.
That was a sale.
Yeah, so I guess do we want to get to some questions? I know this was this was more of a, not so much hands-on high-ticket dropshipping. Jared knows, we spoke about before the live stream is, mindset. And this is something that I'm going to continue to hammer into people's heads, because I've honestly seen firsthand of, people with a broke mindset, people with a good mindset, starting the same business at the same exact time. And, I'm not saying like theoretically here. I'm saying I've seen it firsthand of two people who were broke in the head and who were rich in the head start the same business at the same time. A year down the road, one person's business is profiting $15K a month, and the other one just bought their domain. And so it comes back to the same that Jared just said. Action is ultimately going to get you to where you want to go, and massive action is so imperative. I always tweet this out usually once a month. Is my success formula is visualize where you want to be, take massive action, and never quit. If you combine those three things, you'll be successful eventually. You might hit some road bumps, but eventually you will get there.
Your story actually brought me to another good story that I have. I remember one of our top success students, who again is also a good friend of mine, or better yet, a good friend of ours at this point. I remember the day he made his first sale, right? That day, someone else happened to be hanging out with us who wasn't interested in e-com, had a terrible mindset, still has a terrible mindset. And this person was hanging out with us, and he obviously knew I was making money online. Everyone knew I've been making money online for years now. But what happened was he saw this specific person make their first sale, and what happened was it piqued his interest. So he got very interested. He bought a course, and ultimately he had such a bad mindset and never took action. Now this happened, I think the guy who made his first sale, this was like 9-10 months ago, right? So the guy who was inspired bought the course and 10 months later never took action. The kid who made his first sale 10 months later is now doing, you know, I think $200,000, $300,000 per month, right? So what does that tell you? Is that, you know, at the end of the day, if you don't have the right mindset, the course, the material doesn't matter. You know, Mike and I, we're giving you guys, you know, in our program, we're giving you guys everything you need to succeed. But if you don't have the will to take action, if you don't have the mindset to stick with it long enough, it doesn't matter, you know? I can't guarantee success for any of my clients because I can't guarantee that you're going to put in the work. I can guarantee that our information is useful. I can guarantee that what we're teaching is legit. I can guarantee that, again, everything we're teaching is everything you need, but I can't guarantee that you're going to put in the work. I've said this about some of my students before. It's like they were they wanted me to answer more questions. And I'm like, look, I've told you everything I can. At this point, the only thing left for me to do would be to do it for you, which I'm not going to do. So.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I love that you said that. And that's really the reason that, you know, that we can't guarantee success, like you just said, Jared, is because, you know, I could guarantee success for myself if I started from scratch with all the knowledge that we have. I can guarantee success within, you know, a couple months. But at the end of the day, it's no one's going to do it for you. You know, that's why we always say if anyone offers Shopify automation or honestly any kind of automation in general, you should just run the other direction because, you know, if it was really that easy to automate a Shopify business, why would I take your $10,000 when I could just build a business and that'll make $10,000 a month? Like that just doesn't make sense.
I love that you brought that up because I was actually having that conversation with someone today. And, you know, like I said, there are people on Instagram that are selling Shopify automation, which again, that has to be the biggest bullcrap in the planet. And I was saying to someone today, for me to actually agree to a Shopify automation terms, which would mean me building the site, doing everything to pretty much make you successful, then I think the price I would have to charge would be $200,000. So if you're watching this and you want to do Shopify automation with Mike and I, then I mean that's the price right there. If you want to pay us $200,000, we'll build you a business and we'll work on it until it's, you know, making $5,000 to $10,000 a month, which we can really achieve in, I would say, a year's time. So if you want to give us $200,000 in a year, we'll make it work.
And you know, I'm laughing because I think it's, you know, just a funny sentiment, but that should honestly speak volumes that Jared, you're not joking. You know, like that's actually the price of what this business can build for you and for, you know, your financial goals is really, you know, like you said, $200,000. That's how much you can sell a high ticket drop shipping for. So
the thing is that we have numerous stores that are worth over $200,000 at this point. So it's like again, if you paid me 20 grand up front, that wouldn't even be close to worth it. You know, I make over that in a month from my drop shipping stores, and it would take me, you know, 6 to 12 months to make the store very profitable. So 20 grand would not cut it. You know, that's typically what people charge for automation. I know Amazon automation, YouTube automation, they charge 20,000. And let me tell you guys something. Don't do it. Don't join a YouTube automation. Don't join an Amazon automation. It's all crap. And you don't learn the skills. You're left with nothing. You're left with, you get robbed, honestly.
And honestly, I'm glad we're talking about automation, although it kind of just organically came up, is another pitfall is cutting corners. You know, so many people try to cut corners, and I would say automation is a way of cutting corners. Like, if you're going to make it in any kind of business, there are no corners that you can cut. And if you do try to cut a corner, then it's going to come back to bite you in the ass. I think the closest thing to cutting a corner that you can get to is having good mentors, because they'll help you, you know, avoid mistakes. But, you know, if you're going to try to shorten up the process by doing some shady things or whatever it is that you're thinking about doing, just don't do it, because, you know, you got to pay your dues. You got to go through the process. You got to go through what everyone else has went through to be successful if you really want to make it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and you put it best, you know, the only way to really cut corners is to have great mentors. Now, obviously, you know, that's for you to decide. You know, if we'll never, like, we're not going to say you have to make us your mentors, but if you feel like you can trust us, if you feel like you want to work with us, then that's the best way to cut corners, is to have people that are actually doing it, break down all the steps for you and help you get there. So again, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and say that we have to be your mentors, even though I would love to. If you're watching this, I would love to mentor you if you aren't already part of our program. But again, if you want to be successful, the best and quickest way to cut a corner is to have a mentor. And that's why, honestly, every new business that Mike and I start, we invest in mentors, because we know that $3,000 or $4,000 payment up front is going to save us a lot of time and a lot of money. If you're going to start an online business, you should be in it to make hundreds of thousands of dollars per year. So, in the end of the day, whatever a mentor is charging you should not be a lot of money. I invested myself more than anyone I know, honestly. I sent out a $25,000 wire transfer today to be mentored on something. And that's why we're successful. We make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, Mike and I, but we're also investing tens of thousands of dollars a year into ourselves.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because, we're not just talking about mentors, we're practicing what you preach. On Monday of this week, I just paid someone $4,000 for a special kind of, real estate, whatever it was, mentorship. And because that's honestly the way that, we're practicing what we preach here. You got to, in any kind of business, you have to find the people who have done it and learn from them. And, it sounds simple, but that's honestly, it's a cheat code.
Yeah, it just so happens that everyone we're paying is charging more than we are. So we may be raising our prices soon. But, as of right now, we're only charging $97 a month to get mentored by us, which is ridiculous, because we literally have students making $10,000 a month that are paying $97 a month to work with us. So, if you work with us and you put in the work, then that $97 a month will be the best investment you've ever made.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So you want to jump into some questions? I don't think we have a whole lot here.
I think we have really one legitimate question. I see Bill Dafford online asked, does that really work? Now, I believe when they asked this, they were talking about meditating with the ka-ching noises. And my answer would be, as long as you put in the work, as long as you did everything correct, then yes, it really does work, honestly. If you build a great-looking site, if you run the ads correct, you have great products, then honestly, meditating, practicing affirmations, affirmations, if you don't know what those are, look them up. Practicing affirmations and meditating with something called miracle tones, which you can look it up on YouTube as well, and the Shopify ka-ching noise, that stuff really does work, but you got to put in the work first.
Yeah, honestly, really quick, funny stories. I know one of our students, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, very young student, I think he's actually 16, 17 years old, been putting in work. He actually asked us about the law of attraction. It was very, very confusing to him. He was like, he couldn't make the connection in his head. And I don't blame him for it. If it's not something you've read and really taken the time to learn about, it wouldn't make sense. And, he was just kind of he didn't believe us when I said, you can literally, if you visualize things, it can come to fruition with the massive action. And, it's a far off concept to someone who, like I said, maybe thinks it's crazy, but listen, everyone can believe whatever the heck they want. You're talking to two guys who practice this daily, so take it as you will.
A great example as to why visualization and the law of attraction is more powerful than the business model itself is because me and Mike knew about this stuff before we started e-commerce, and our first few e-commerce businesses were not high-ticket dropshipping. So what does that tell you? Is that we were practicing the power of visualization and the mindset techniques, and it led us to businesses that fail, but eventually, since we never quit, it led us to businesses that succeeded. And that's a great thing to, if you're watching this and you have a business that you feel like it isn't going anywhere, sometimes it's okay to quit. What's important is never giving up on yourself. But not every business model is created equal. I've done a lot of businesses that it was hard for me to do, but I pulled the plug on because I saw there was no growth. With what me and Mike teach, there is legitimate growth. You really don't have a reason to quit. As long as you keep working with us, you will find success. But the reason why, again, mindset and visualization is so powerful is because just by visualizing that I would be wealthy, that I would be financially free, it's what led me to high-ticket dropshipping, which ultimately high-ticket dropshipping led to being financially free and being wealthy.
Yep, well said. I know I do want to shout out the MTM members who are here. I know a couple in the chat, a couple of other are watching behind the scenes, but as usual, we love and appreciate you guys. Vic Robinson said, how much should we spend on ads to begin with? Example, $10 a day per supplier. So it's a good question, Vic. it obviously depends on your own budget, but I usually, my sweet spot is I'll start off with 4 to 5 suppliers and a budget of around $25 to $30 a day. Now, if you have some more money that you don't mind spending and you want to expedite the process of learning about suppliers, then yeah, it'd be pretty solid if you could spend almost $15 a day on a supplier, and hopefully you'll have some sales to show for it. But if not, you'll know within 3 weeks if it's worth running the supplier or cutting them and adding a new one. Build Assets also asked whose laptop fan is going off. That's a toss up.
I don't hear anything, honestly. But
yeah, maybe you guys hear it. It could be me. I don't know.
Yeah. Donald V. Williams, you got to become a problem solver. Absolutely. That's really all being an entrepreneur is becoming a problem solver.
I'll give.
A great example is, the reason why this business works is because most of the products we're selling are legitimate problem solvers, stuff that people need for their homes, we're filling that space.
Yeah, and I love that. Honestly, I love that you said that, Donald. You got to become a problem solver because, Jared, like you just said, that's what every business person, that's the core, I think that's a core personality trait is being a problem solver. 99% of the world, they run into problems and they go and be like, hey, they go to someone else and they'll be like, hey, there's a problem. How do I fix it? And, the smartest people can use their ingenuity. I don't even know if that's the correct word, but they can use their mind to just figure out solutions. If there's a wall in front of you, so many people will just kind of keep trying to run through it, or they'll wait for someone else to teach them how. The smartest people will be like, all right, well, we can go around it, we can go over it, we can go under it. Your mind should always be thinking in that kind of sense of, all right, let's not dwell on the problem, let's dwell on the solution.
Yep. We have a question from Kai. Yeah. Is it possible to test niches with Google Ads similar to testing interest with Facebook ads in order to drop as few suppliers as possible and keep relationships strong? Thanks.
Okay, Kai, so I think I understand the question. Is it possible to test niches?
I think she's saying, can you test interest with Google Ads? I don't know.
So the difference, Kai, that you need to understand here is, that's why Facebook is so tricky, is because you're testing interests. You're fishing. You're like, all right, what audiences would like this product? When in reality, with what we do in Google Ads is all the audience stuff doesn't matter. We're just looking for people searching for our products, and that's a huge difference when you're throwing. Maybe you're throwing a pet product on Facebook to someone who is interested in pets. It doesn't really mean that there's a whole lot of buying intent there. But with Google Ads, you're throwing a refrigerator in front of someone who's searching for a kitchen refrigerator. And so, no, there isn't a way to test interests. But if I do remember from a conversation from earlier, Kai, when it comes to testing suppliers, don't worry about, let's say you test them for a month, you lose a couple $100 and, you cut them in your ads. Don't worry about that relationship because one, you tested them, it's probably not going to amount to a whole lot. But also, I've had this happen to me twice with suppliers where, I launched them a year ago. I let them run for a month. They didn't make any sales, but I kept them on the website. 10 months later, I've had them make a sale for me, be insanely profitable, and I've reran them in the ads. I literally sent the purchase order to the manufacturer after not speaking to them in 10 months. And they fulfilled the order as usual. If you bring them a sale, they're not going to be like, oh no, you didn't do any business with us, go away. They're going to take any sales, any orders that you bring them. So don't worry about supplier relationships in that sense.
And honestly, exactly like Mike said, don't worry about relationships of suppliers that aren't making you money. Truthfully, they don't matter. But the big difference between Google Ads and Facebook Ads is Facebook Ads, it's you're searching for people with those interests, where Google Ads, the people with those interests are searching for you. So that's the big difference, right? It's think about it again, like Mike said, if you were going fishing, it's the difference between having to go look for the spot where the fish are, as opposed to just creating a spot that fish will naturally go to and you'll catch, or the feed, the catch the cat metaphor. It's what's the best way to catch a cat? To run after it or to leave the food out that it'll just come and eat. So, that's the difference between Facebook and Google Ads. You don't target interest because the people that are interested in your products find you based off the keywords that they're researching or searching on Google.
Yep, exactly. I think that cat metaphor that you just said was exactly what I was trying to say before about success. Instead of going out and try to chase success, like my version of putting out food and having it come to you is just being a better person, becoming a more successful person, and then eventually the success will find you.
Yeah. So, honestly, that is really most of the reasons why people fail. Obviously, there's a million other reasons, but, those are the most. But yeah, guys, obviously, if you want to get mentored by us, then the link is in the description. We have the free ebook that we're still giving out for free. It honestly gives you a perfect foundation mentally to becoming successful. And Mike mentioned that we're 22 and 23. At midnight, we'll both be 23.
Oh, wow. I forgot. Tomorrow's Jared's birthday. So special shout out to Jared. If you guys want to give him a birthday present, like the video, swing us a comment, help us out. We appreciate everyone who watches as usual. And yeah, we'll see everybody on the next live stream.